Okay, so today we're back on the Cloud Trail, which is the first time we've been back since our first half marathon of the year. So we'll see how many miles we can do today. Hey, how's it going? So if you've seen my earlier videos, you may remember that the Cloud Trail was actually the first half marathon distance that we covered this year. I certainly remember how much my legs ached over the next 2 to 3 days, as it was a massive increase from what I'd been doing previously. It was actually the first time I had to get back into stretching to relieve my muscle pain and keep flexible. Now, as the Cloud Trail runs from Worthington in Leicestershire up to Derby in Derbyshire and is around about 13 miles one way, we're always keeping it in mind for a full marathon route further down the line. Obviously, with the huge advantage being that in Derby you've got the option to refeed and water without having to carry all of the stuff with you. Now, because the weather actually looked good, or looked as though it was going to be good, more to the point, my wife had looked at the maps and decided that running through the outskirts of the centre of Derby would be a bit of a waste on such a nice day. So instead, we took the Cloud Trail up from Worthington to the Trent and Mersey Canal. Then instead of turning left towards Derby, we actually went right towards Long Eaton along the Derwent Valley Heritage Way. And obviously, thankfully, the weather was really nice, and it made it a perfect route with plenty of woodland, a couple of small villages, as well, of course, as a very long towpath. Now, I'm not particularly keen on towpaths, as they do tend to get quite busy, but on this day, for whatever reason, it was remarkably clear, apart from this little village coming up now called Shardlow. Now, this place is hugely popular with the river people. Sorry, that's probably not the term that they go by. Canal boaters, narrow boaters, let's just stick with river people. It sounds more like some kind of folklore group of people. Go speak to the wise river people. Obviously, they would have a faux Hobbit West Country accent. Anyway, Shardlow looked great. Several pubs on the side of the canal, loads of barbecues going. Definitely a great place to be and somewhat a visit when we're not running. But perhaps I will no longer be welcome amongst the river people. In my last video, I mentioned that I felt like I'd peaked. And quite honestly, I still feel the same way. So I thought I'd expand on what I mean by that. It's kind of a funny thing, really, when you start out trying to get fit, because any improvement in fitness is challenging. But at the start, you kind of have this drive to improve your health or fitness. But after a while, you tend to stop for whatever reason. I mean, it could have been that you set out to do a challenge like a 5K, 10K marathon, whatever. You hit that target and then you quit. And I've done this countless times. So when we ran 100 kilometers for charity, once we'd finished, I pretty much stopped running. You know, you kind of gradually reduce, but then before long, you're not doing anything at all. And the truth of that is that you will then bump into somebody that knew you were doing the run, and they'll be asking you something like, "Are you still running?" And you have to go, "No." So they then ask why, and it's almost impossible to justify. And on occasion, that's kind of enough to spur you on and get back into it. So I guess what I mean when I say I think I've peaked, it's more likely that I'm burning out. And right now, as I record this, I could quite genuinely stop running and say, hey, that was good, I'm fit enough for my needs. And it may even have some benefits to my health, but I'll cover that in a moment. But I also know what a slippery slope that is, and how quickly your fitness slips away, and how hard it is to get started again. So for the first time in my life, I'm going to keep pushing forward. So over 19 miles in, so we've smashed the last record on this route. It's a slightly different route, as I've already mentioned, but it's time again. Sweet treat of the week. We have a Perkia cacao and orange, which sounds nice. Question is it going to be digestible while running? No, definitely not. We're really good. Right, onwards. I was wrong about the bar. It was actually perfectly digestible, and you may have seen in previous videos that I've basically been trying out lots of different snacks to see what works and what doesn't, with the plan to only have food that is actually really working for me on the Hadrian's Wall challenge. And as I'd had a chocolate Perkia bar earlier in the start of this run, and I had acid instantly, I kind of assumed this was going to be the same, but not the case. Orange is clearly the way forward. So here we're back on the Cloud Trail, coming up on mile 23-24, which is where it all started to go a little bit south. I started getting an unusual ache in my chest, not pain as such, more of a dull ache. Kind of like you've just done bench press or you've done push-ups the day before that you're not used to. It wasn't my chest muscle, it was actually inside my chest, so I stopped pretty much immediately and then noted on my Garmin that my heart was in zone 5, which was over 163 beats per minute, which was definitely unusual. I might get up to zone 5 if I was running up a hill, but it's not common when running on flat and long distance, and certainly not when I'm walking, because normally when you stop, literally my heart rate starts dropping really quite quickly. And it's certainly a long way from zone 2, zone 3 kind of area that I'm looking for of 109 or 145 beats per minute. So I'm kind of hoping that this is just dehydration, because that is always my biggest issue with all of these runs, but time will tell. I'm going to start taking it a little bit more easily and cutting down my midweek runs, just kind of focusing on the ones at the weekend. Anyway, here's a few last words from the day. Okay, so that's that done. Calling time on that. 25 miles. Starving. And ran out of water again. Don't know how we're going to carry enough water to do anything much longer than this, to be honest, but there we go. Oh, thanks for watching. I'll catch you in the next video.